Jeb Bush in Iowa yesterday, his first trip to the key caucus state since he started hinting about 2016. It was an agriculture forum for GOP contenders, and ABC's David Wright was there.
He's no stranger to Iowa.
Hey, you excited to be in Iowa?
I am.
Yeah, we're going to
Delighted to be here.
But before, he was the candidate's son or the candidate's brother. This weekend, for the first time, Jeb Bush was in Iowa as his own man.
A lot of people know me as George's boy or Barbara's boy or W's brother, all of which I'm very proud of.
His challenge now, convincing the voters he's a step forward, not a step back.
I want to win. I want our party to win. I want conservatives to win.
Is the Bush name an asset or a liability in Iowa?
Well, from the standpoint of if you're known better than somebody else and the name's recognizable, it's very much an advantage.
It's not like he has to go and introduce himself or spell his last name.
But that last name also comes with some baggage.
7 out of the 9 people on his foreign policy team were people that had advised his brother to invade Iraq.
At the Iowa Ag Summit, people listened politely as Bush outlined views on immigration that may be a bit too moderate for this crowd. His only applause line was on the subject of barbecue.
We'll be cooking Iowa beef and...
But at his first meet and greet with actual voters at a pizza ranch, he showed he can connect.
Yes, ma'am.
A beauty queen in a tiara asked about Alzheimer's disease.
How many people here have a family member that has dementia or Alzheimer's?
Bush handled it like an old
what
pro.
you're doing is really
Your father ran on a kinder, gentler America. Your brother ran on compassionate conservatism. How would you sum up your message in a few words?
When I get to that, I'll let you know.
Even in Iowa, it's early days. Jeb Bush is off to a start. For this week, David Wright, ABC News, Cedar Rapids.
Thanks to David for that. We're back with the roundtable right now. Nicole Wallace, I want to start with you. Of course, you worked for Jeb Bush in the past. You saw David Wright gave him pretty good reviews. Mark Halperin gave him good reviews yesterday as well. It was probably his most confident campaign performance yet, but he is facing a real uphill fight in Iowa.
Yeah, 2 things. I mean, David Wright made the exact point about what Jeb accomplished yesterday. He proved to everybody that he can connect. And I worked for him. I went to countless events with him. And he is always real in the room. Always. There's no manufactured emotion. There are no talking points. He writes his own talking points. So I think that Iowa is a great place. I think Iowa gets a bad rap for having this conservative litmus test. That's part of it. But they're also the most sophisticated political analysts in the Republican Party. They want someone who could win. So you saw Jeb speaking right to that, saying, I can win. I want my party to win. I want conservatives to win.
I saw him a few days earlier and is at his first meeting with voters in just outside Las Vegas a few days before this Iowa thing. And I was really struck. I think he's been very unimpressive giving speeches, not good off the prompter, not good off prepared text. But in that room where he was just speaking off the cuff and then taking a lot of questions from voters, he was loose and he was funny. He took a few shots at the Clintons along the way, but felt like as if he had not been off the campaign trail for as long as he'd been off the campaign trail. Very impressive to me.
And Don, if he can pull off this balancing act, holding to his positions on issues like immigration and more to the center of the party, but still getting the nomination, that poses a significant challenge to Hillary or whichever Democrat gets the nomination.
Well, we all know how Republicans run. They run to the right in the primary, and then in the general election, they pivot back to the center.
But he's not really doing that.
And the one thing that, well, can I finish a little journalist over here? Y'all are hot today. I need to give y'all some Tabasco. But there's no question that Jeb Bush knows how to connect with voters. He's a conservative. He's not a moderate. He's a conservative. And what I guess I was impressed is that he stood up to those in the room who said, well, we want subsidies to continue the ethanol. He said, no, we have to take a look at it, let it be market-driven. He still faced a lot of obstacles because I think what the conservatives are hungry for this season, is somebody who's a true tried conservative that can win in a general election. And Jeb Bush might not be that.
That's going to it sets out an interesting poll, Mark Halperin. Who's going to prevail, the Republicans who want a winner or the Republicans who want purity?
Jeb Bush was an extraordinarily conservative governor of Florida, and there are a few issues on which he's out of step with some of the party. But I think people continue to overstate the extent to which Common Core and immigration would stop him from winning. And electability is going to be a huge issue, but so is fundraising, so is hiring staff, and so is authenticity. The reason why so many of the Clinton people are worried about Jeb Bush is his public authenticity does not make a good matchup for her. Privately, she's a very authentic and accomplished person, but their public personas, their public performance couldn't provide a worse contrast for her.
And he turned over all of his emails. They're on a server. You can read them
Well, not
all
all of
later
his
in
emails.
there.
It
Wow.
took 7 years and not all of his emails. He still has a lot of them outstanding. And by the way, I'm not even interested in reading anybody's emails. I don't want anybody to read mine.
We only have a couple seconds left before we have to take a break. But did Jeb Bush reestablish himself as the front runner this week? Scott Walker had been making some real inroads.
I think they're both in the top tier. And I think the thing that I notice is that I think Mark is totally right about Common Core and immigration as being overstated. I think you guys remember the way Bill Clinton was at odds with much of the Democratic orthodoxy in 1992 and ran to the Senate room and still was able to win. The bigger problem in the Republican Party for Jeb Bush is that he is Jeb Bush. And the name, and not just the way liberals don't like him because he's a Bush, but the fact that there are a lot of Republicans who think, I don't want to sacrifice the argument of having a candidate of the future. If Hillary Clinton's going to be the Democratic nominee, we need someone younger, who looks like the future, who's not tied to all that Bush baggage. You hear that among a lot of Republicans who want to look at a Scott Walker or a Marco Rubio or someone else who can just have a clean break with the past.